Hi everyone. So day 26 of my 66 day challenge. Good one today. Started really nicely. At first I didn't want to go for a run. I just couldn't be bothered. But then I was talking to my housemate, and then they recommended that I do because they knew that I liked it, and they kind of helped me to focus on the positives of going for the run. So ended up going, which was really good. And then actually managed to beat my 5k time by 3 minutes and 33 seconds, which is an oddly nice number. But it was great, a really good run. Um, and then went on to do bits of work, and then um, unfortunately I had a driving lesson that was supposed to be this afternoon. I'd arranged it with my teacher, but they'd not turned up, which wasn't very good. Um, but yeah, so I think I'm gonna get a new instructor, to be honest, because well, they didn't turn up, and in the actual lesson that I had, they weren't exactly ideal, shall we say? Um, so yeah, I think I'm gonna try and look for some new instructors. Potentially, I'll try a couple and see, and then maybe pick the best. But yeah, um, and then had a really nice call with the friends that I spoke to before the beginning of this challenge, and that was really great as always. And then um, yeah, we're gonna have another call later in the week because it got cut short slightly. But nevertheless, like we'll catch up and it'll be good. Big shout outs to Fran and Aglika. But yeah, I think partly today again, like since yesterday, like I got thrown off a little bit because of like Gmail and stuff, and then ended up playing games maybe in the middle of the day when I normally wouldn't have been. Um, Part of me sort of started falling back into that a little bit more. So today, like when my driving lesson was cancelled again, I was just like, oh well, play some games because my mates were playing, and then kind of ended up playing probably a bit too much. So um, I've uninstalled them for now, but I can always put them back in like later on. But just to add a little bit more of a barrier to doing that. So for example, it's kind of like somewhat similar, I guess, to like deleting Facebook on your phone or Instagram on your phone or whatever, so you can't get distracted by it as easily. So um, just turn that music down. But yeah, so done that to try and increase the barriers and make it a little bit harder for me to procrastinate. Tomorrow I've got some bits on with my marketing team, which is good. And yeah, I also today I was doing some marking of the exam that I wrote for my prospective student, or the going to be a student now. So um, I'm doing some marking of that. Really good stuff, to be honest. Quite exciting to see where he's currently at, and I think there's a lot of potential. Lots of strategies we can use to get him much higher. Um, but yeah, and also I think quite interestingly, I realised the potential of actually um, building a system where I can do that marking more efficiently, um, and doing the examination more efficiently, and building a bit more of a platform for the students to interact with me on and through. So that'll be really exciting to get sorted. It'll probably take a while to build, but it's going to be really cool because it'll actually link directly into the project management system that I'm building at the moment. So ideally, I'll get like a full holistic system um, where I've kind of got students on one side that are like filling things in, doing things, doing questions, things like that, um, which will then be going to myself and potentially other teachers in the future to get those marked. And then from there, I'll actually be able to deliver content through that platform as well. Um, and then kind of we can use that as the medium between us, and it'll really facilitate a much easier experience in terms of for the users as well as for me as the teacher. Especially as I gain more students, it'll be much easier to manage. It'll be like very scalable, so quite interesting. Um, Lots of cool potential for it, and I think as well, like with some things, like for example, like learning vocabulary. A lot of it is going to be like practice and understanding the context of where it is and things like that when you're like maybe younger. As you mature a little bit, you can maybe just research it. Um, but still, like understanding different phrases and doing like tests to check where you are, and then practicing like things like that, playing little games. I think that's going to be something that I can build into the system, so it'll be really cool to track their progress and stuff like that, and make it really visual for them, so it's like engaging, and there's a sense of gamification and even reward and stuff like that associated with making progress in English. So it'll be quite good. Like the idea is, in some sense, not too dissimilar from something like Duolingo, but it's more geared towards a specific aim. So instead of like Duolingo is just kind of learning for fun, with this it would be like learning for IELTS, or learning for a specific like target that they've got, like a specific exam, and then like crossed with the sort of teaching side and the tutoring side as well. So hopefully they'll synergize nicely and build into something pretty cool. But that's all to come. We'll see how all that works. I'm not sure how it'll work or if it'll work, but we'll try. Obviously, there's a lot of platforms already out there doing that kind of thing, but I think with like the marketing that I've got at the moment, potentially if that can go ahead, then I can still create like a unique proposition out of like all the different pieces coming together in a unique way, even if the individual pieces themselves aren't necessarily unique. But yeah, so that's exciting to see. And I also built a little, like it's just a really small life tracker thing on Coda. And it's just like, because I realized like after using the initial spreadsheet that I started making, I realized that in some sense, recording everything wasn't necessarily required, and wasn't even necessarily helpful. So for example, before I was recording like the times that I was doing everything, the length of time that I was doing it, and things like that, and it's kind of like maybe that isn't needed. So for example, I would record like the time that I woke up, then the time that I went for a run, the time that I got back from the run and had breakfast, etc., etc. And I don't think I needed that. Whereas maybe just noting down, oh, went running today, that's good. Or maybe like worked these hours today or something like that. That's good. But not like all the details, I think. And maybe rather than working certain hours, it's like achieving certain things. Because like if you work for a long time but you don't achieve anything, it's still kind of pointless anyway. So yeah, and then I also started doing this thing, which is really interesting. I was talking to Fran this evening about this, and it's about like it's kind of like journaling, but instead of just writing like what's on your mind or anything like that, because sometimes that can be a bit arduous, and a bit boring. But instead of doing that, um, I'm just writing down like who I was on that day. So for example, if I went running, then would be a runner, or if I meditated, I'd be a meditator, or if I taught, I'd be a teacher, if I coded, I'd be a developer, etc. So the different identities which I took on that day, and then I also wrote down my thoughts, like a summary of my thoughts for that day in like one sentence, 2 lines, or something like that. So just kind of as really concise, really short. And I think that was something so fascinating because it enabled me to, because I've done it a few times, and maybe tomorrow I'll show you, because I'll copy the stuff from the Excel stuff that I did into the coder and then show off the coder a little bit. And then people can have that if they're like, it only took me like 2 seconds to make, so no problem. But the Excel stuff like that I've already done, like it's really nice to look back and kind of see like the mentalities that I had and on previous days and how they evolved and changed and led into one another. And I think that there might even be some potential for me to map out the evolution of my mentality, and then kind of see patterns, and in terms of For example, on day 12, I've got written that it's something like, why can't I do what I want to even though I know I should, or something like that, or that kind of thing, which was in line with the thoughts of that day. And then I see, like, firstly, I went for a run at the end of that day, and that's okay. Immediately, if I'm feeling a little bit down, go for a run. That's like a good method for me to reset, if you like. But then also, I see kind of the days before that where there was like certain mentalities that were kind of like leading down into that, and it's kind of potentially there might be, like, once I've done this a little bit more, I could do some analysis on my mentalities and try and sort of see if there are any patterns of, like, when there are dips, why there are dips, how I could avoid the dips, or when there's a rise, why there's a rise, and how I could maintain the rise, and hopefully then, like, stabilize my mentality at a more constant, consistent level, and, like, yeah, using analytics, which I think would be super cool. I think that's like an awesome use of analytics. I think that's really, really nice, and I'm pretty sure that I'd be able to do it using the platform that I'm currently on. So, yeah, more on that tomorrow though. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Bit of a late one today, but gonna grab some Z's now. But yeah, so see you all tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye.